Open this damn gate now. Funny, I warned you. Imagine moving into your new home, unpacking boxes, settling into the quiet, and finally feeling like life is about to get peaceful, only to discover that your next-door neighbor is a full-blown racist who decides the moment she sees your black skin that you're a red flag. Then she marches across the yard spitting insults, telling you that you don't belong there, that people like you ruin neighborhoods, and that she'll destroy your life if you don't pack up and leave. That's exactly what Evelyn Sharp did, and she had no idea who she was dealing with. Kendrick Mercer moved into Mapler Meadows with one intention: peace. After years of saving, planning, and dreaming, he finally bought a quiet stretch of land with open pasture, clean soil, and enough room to raise the small livestock he'd always wanted. He was a tall, calm black man with steady hands and a quiet confidence, the type who minded his business and expected others to mind theirs. He unloaded crates, feed bags, tools, and a few goats from the trailer, enjoying the fresh air and silence. But the silence didn't last. Across the road, standing stiff on her porch with binoculars and a mug she didn't even bother pretending to sip from, was Evelyn Sharp, a woman who looked like rage wrapped in a windbreaker. And from the second she laid eyes on Kendrick, her face twisted into disgust. "Of course," she muttered loudly. "A black man, that's already a red flag right there." Kendrick heard her, he just chose not to react. He kept working, carrying sacks toward the barn, setting up feed troughs, brushing dust from his hands, but Evelyn didn't look away. In fact, when she saw the goats hop out of the trailer, her hatred multiplied instantly. "Oh hell no," she barked to herself. "Livestock, livestock, this is exactly what I warned the HOA about, people like him bringing problems." There wasn't even an HOA in the area, but in Evelyn's mind she was one-man enforcement. She marched closer to her property line, folding her arms so tightly it looked like she was holding herself together out of pure rage. She watched Kendrick build temporary pens, check fencing, and settle his animals, every task making her breathe harder, faster, louder. She started muttering insults, then speaking them loud enough for the breeze to carry. Unbelievable, first him, now a damn farm. God forbid this neighborhood stays decent. Kendrick ignored her again. He wasn't there to fight, he was there to live. But after 2 days of her constant watching, complaining, and muttering, he decided he wasn't dealing with her nonsense. If she hated seeing the animals so much, he would solve that peacefully. He bought wood, he measured the boundary lines, and he started building a clean, tall fence around his entire property. A simple boundary, a simple fix. But when Evelyn stepped outside and saw that fence rising, her face twisted into something almost monstrous. She stormed across her yard, stomping through the grass like she was marching into battle. "You've got to be joking," she snapped as she closed in on him. "You think you can just move here and do whatever you want?" Kendrick tightened the last screw, lifted his head. "Have you ever moved somewhere new, hopping for peace, only to find out your neighbor is your biggest nightmare? What would you do if the person living next door hated you the moment she saw the color of your skin?" Before we dive in, what city or country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. We love seeing where our viewers are tuning in from. And if you believe racism should always be exposed, smash that like button and subscribe to Story Arc, because standing your ground is powerful and the truth always wins. Evelyn didn't wait for Kendrick to speak. She charged straight up to the fence line like she was trying to break the sound barrier with her footsteps. Her face was twisted red, shaking with a kind of hatred Kendrick had seen before, ugly, loud, and desperate. "So this is what you're doing," she snapped. "Building a fence around my neighborhood to hide whatever shady nonsense you're running here." Kendrick exhaled slowly. "Ma'am, I'm just securing my property." Evelyn scoffed so loudly it echoed. "Your property? People like you don't own property and you do not belong here. I knew from the second I saw you." "Black man moving in, that's a red flag. Now animals, a whole damn farm, absolutely not." Kendrick blinked once. "Calm, steady, leave my property line, Evelyn." "Oh, I'm not going anywhere," she spat. "I hate people like you. Low-life criminals pretending to be hardworking. Who knows what you're doing in that barn? Drugs, theft. God knows what your type brings into decent neighborhoods." Kendrick set his drill down. "Enough, no, not enough," she barked, stepping closer. "You better leave while you still can. You're not raising animals next to me. I'm going to shut this down. I'll make sure you never settle in this neighborhood. I'll ruin whatever little life you think you're building." Kendrick stayed rooted, his voice calm but clipped. "Evelyn, leave my property." She laughed hysterically. "You don't scare me, boy. I'll show you what real power looks like." She stormed back across her yard, muttering slurs under her breath so loudly Kendrick didn't even have to strain to hear them. 5 minutes later she was back, phone in hand, voice high-pitched and trembling like she was performing on stage. "Yes, hello, 911, please send officers immediately," she cried dramatically. "I'm being threatened. He's trespassing. He's screaming at me. His animals are dangerous. He's putting the whole neighborhood at risk. I'm terrified. Please hurry." Kendrick stared at her blankly. She stared right back with a smug grin. "You're finished," she mouthed. "Watch how fast they deal with you." The operator apparently promised officers were en route because Evelyn lowered the phone and folded her arms triumphantly. Kendrick met her stare, completely unshaken. "Evelyn," he said quietly, "you just made the biggest mistake of your life." She smirked. "Oh please, the system has always protected me, not you." And then sirens, 2 units, lights flashing, speeding down the road. Evelyn's smile widened. She thought this was the end for Kendrick. She had no idea who he really was. The patrol car skidded to a stop in front of Kendrick's property, lights flashing across the fence he just finished. Evelyn immediately ran toward them like she had been waiting her whole life for this moment. "Officers over here," she shrieked dramatically, waving her arms like she was guiding a plane. "It's him. He threatened me." He's trespassing? His animals are dangerous. I feared for my life. She even added a trembling hand to her chest for extra effect. The officers stepped out cautiously, scanning the scene. Evelyn practically threw herself at them. He screamed at me, she continued. He charged at me, he pointed tools at me. I think he might be doing illegal things in that barn. Please do something. Kendrick stood at his fence, hands relaxed, expression calm, no yelling, no anger, no movement toward her. But Evelyn clung to her performance like her life depended on it. Officers, she whimpered, I'm scared for my safety. People like him, they bring trouble. That sentence alone told the cops everything they needed to know, but they followed procedure. One officer approached Kendrick. Sir, we received multiple serious complaints, he said. We need to ask you a few. Before he could finish, Evelyn interrupted again. He's not supposed to have livestock here. He's disturbing the whole neighborhood. He's dangerous. Do something. Arrest him. The officers turned fully toward Kendrick now, waiting for an explanation. Evelyn smirked behind them. She had already decided she'd won. Kendrick didn't move. He didn't defend himself. He didn't argue with her lies. Kendrick slowly reached into his shirt. Evelyn immediately backpedaled, screaming, he's reaching for something. Officers, do something. Hands tensed near holsters, but Kendrick stayed calm, and when his hand came out, he wasn't holding a weapon. He was holding a badge, a polished, unmistakable sheriff's badge that gleamed in the sunlight like justice itself. The officers froze. Evelyn's mouth dropped open. Kendrick's voice was steady as stone. My name is Deputy Sheriff Kendrick Mercer. Off duty, and I've documented every word this woman has said to me. One of the officers blinked hard. Deputy Mercer. Kendrick nodded once. Evelyn swallowed hard, but she wasn't done panicking yet because what came next would destroy her lies completely. Evelyn's face drained of color so fast it was like someone pulled her soul straight through her shoes. No, that badge is fake, she stuttered, pointing with a shaking hand. He's lying, he's trying to trick you. But the officers weren't even looking at her anymore. One step closer to Kendrick, posture straightening with respect. Deputy Mercer, sir, we had no idea. You weren't supposed to, Kendrick replied calmly. I moved here for peace. Evelyn stumbled backward as if the ground suddenly turned to ice. This isn't right, he threatened me. I was scared. Kendrick didn't interrupt. He simply walked to his front door, opened it, and returned carrying a small device, his door cam recorder. If you're going to accuse me, he said, let's use the truth. He pressed play. Evelyn's voice exploded into the open air. You don't belong here. I hate people like you. Black criminals like you ruin everything. I'll destroy your life before you destroy this neighborhood. The officer's expressions hardened instantly. Evelyn lunged forward. Stop, that's edited. He edited that. Kendrick continued playing it. Then came the recording of the final confrontation. Evelyn screaming slurs, threatening to run him out, promising to get law enforcement to take care of him. Evelyn grabbed at the air, searching for a lie that could save her. The senior officer turned to her slowly. Ma'am, you filed a false police report. Multiple actually, and based on this evidence you also committed harassment, intimidation, and hate-motivated threats. Evelyn shook her head violently. No, you can't arrest me. I'm a homeowner. I'm a taxpayer. You're supposed to be on my side. Kendrick finally looked her in the eyes. You picked the wrong man, Evelyn. Then he nodded to the officers. Take her in. Evelyn screamed as handcuffs closed around her wrists. This is racist. You're all racist. He's setting me up. This is my neighborhood. The officers guided her toward the patrol car while she kicked and cried, her voice cracking, falling apart with each step. Kendrick stood silently, the breeze brushing against the new fence he built. Evelyn glared at him through the back window, face twisted with rage and fear. You ruined my life, she yelled. Kendrick shook his head once. No, Evelyn, he said softly, you ruined your own. The patrol car rolled away, taking her shrieks with it. For the first time since he moved in, Kendrick breathed deeply. His land, his animals, his peace finally safe, and nothing Evelyn ever did could change that again. If you believe in standing firm, protecting your peace, and refusing to bow to hate, hit that like button and subscribe to HOA Story 22.